Welcome back. So we removed the arrays here because we want to connect to a database. Before we create our database using some kind of queue, I will zoom in here and show you the configuration file that we use to create, that we specify the database. We tell the Laravel application what database it has to connect to get access to data. So there's two files. This used to confuse me when I was starting with Laravel, the database.php inside config, and there is another here, inf. So the default configuration is .inf. When it's not specified, the database.php would take whatever is given as the second argument. So observe here. For example, for a host, it's reading inf db host. So for a database, it's reading inf db database. So if it finds that, if that's specified, fine. If not, it gives it another name. So don't touch this. Instead, change the configuration here. This is a .environment file. It won't be part of a Git when you are building your application with Git, which is what you should do all the time. Once you get across, you learn this. So instead, specify your database here. So the rest of the configurations here I'll leave as they are. So DB connection MySQL, which is fine. DB host is localhost, which is also perfect. Port is perfect. Instead, for the database, instead of Laravel, I'll say tickets.db. For username, I think it comes with root, so that's fine, root. I'll leave that as it is. For password, if you have password, you specify that. If not, you leave it. I have a password. I'll put that in. Whilst opening MySQL workbench, which is a graphical user interface we'd use to create the database. Hope you can see that. Here I already have the databases I have created. I use this icon here to create another database. Call this database tickets_db. I'll just leave it as a default correlation or specify UTF-8 correlation, which is what you want to do if you want to support internationalization and other languages besides English. Tickets.db. So I apply this and create the database tickets.db, which is fine. So what I have here, tickets.db, it's created, but I don't have any tables yet. So that's what I will do. Create table. Here in this GUI, I specify the table name, tickets, and here I provide the ID or the columns of the table. So the data type is int. I want to make sure it's auto increment. It's primary key, which is perfect. Next, the next column is what will be the title of the ticket. It's a varchar of 45. That's a little short, so I would make it 145. That's fine. And then I'll have some kind of description. I'll make it, instead of varchar, I want to allow users to put in a very long description. I'll make it ticket, and that's it. For now, these three columns are enough, but obviously in the future we will add other columns like the screenshots, an image screenshot, priority category of these tickets, and other things like status and etc. I click apply and make sure the table is created. It's created. I close this. I refresh this, and I have tickets. And I browse it. It's empty. I don't have anything in it yet. So I leave the ID as it is. The title, MS Office failure. Description, some combination of that. For this, I'll say MS Windows failure. For description, I'll just copy paste that multiple times. I might also have keyword not working. This could be wider to see what we have typed. A lot of spelling errors. I think that's fine. We don't care about that. I will click apply, and it's saying there is an error. I wonder what that is. Maybe I'll specify an ID here. Screen certificate. Oh, data is too long for column description. Huh. I think I have been what did I make the description? Text, right? Okay. I will go here and fix. Oh, it's varchar. For some reason, it has gone to varchar. Instead, I want it to be text. Wow, it goes to varchar. Now we will be able to specify the description. Okay, now fine, we have a database with a table, and that table, most importantly, has data. Next, we will run our application, see if our database connection has been successful. Okay, I haven't done anything of the sort to see if the database connection has been successful. For that, in my controller, I'll access a package called db that helps me connect with database inquiry. To do that, I have to use db, which is a package that helps me access database. Here, let me make index the first function. And get rid of these two functions. I don't need them. In here, I'll say db, the package that helps me access database. Here I'll say table, and then specify the table I just created, which is tickets. And I say get to get me all the data from the table called tickets. I'll put this in a variable called tickets, and I pass that variable. So instead of an array, now I have something coming from the database. So I visit that page. Sadly, I get this error saying unknown database. Don't think you can see it here. Unknown database ticket DB. So if you see closely, you see that I am still calling ticket DB, whereas I created ticket underscore DB. So I'll fix that in my .inf. So surprisingly, I'm calling tickets.db, but this is from what I have used earlier. So what I'll do is go into my terminal, stop it, and run php artisan serve again and refresh. So now I get another error saying I'm trying to access parameter 1 to be string object given. So what is this thing called about the object? So I'll zoom out. So here tickets is an object. If I go in my tickets, for each ticket, I am accessing ticket, which is an object. I'm trying to call that here. I can't do that. So instead, I'll just say, I'll just display item rating. If I refresh, I get 8 rating, 8 rating, 8 rating, which is great. This is what I want. So what's happening? What's happening is what I'm getting from the database is an object here. And that object, $tickets, has attributes like title, ID, and other. To see that in the controller, instead of returning the view here, I'll comment this and dump this object that I'm getting, tickets, which is the object I am getting. So you see what it's talking about here. Let me move it over here. So this is an object of kind. It has 3 items in it. The first item at 0, 1, and 2. If I open that item, I get it has ID, title, description. So it's not just the ticket. Now the ticket with its attributes. That is an object, the notion of object. So I'll go back. I'll go to the normal zoom here. And here, I use the arrow function to access the title. I have the worst keyboard, it's jumpy, so I apologize for that. So now I get what I was seeing earlier with MS Office, Windows failure, keyboard not working, but the difference is all these are accessed from the database. And when I get the counter, which is by using this. And instead, I want to use what I get from the database, which is $ticket arrow ID. If you can let me zoom in so you are able to see that. So ticket ID, instead of this counter, I'll use the actual ID in the database. I can also have a P here. For each ticket, I can show the description. Ticket I refresh, now I get a miss failure, and this is the description. This is the title, this is the description. I can move the link here so we can see the paragraphs clearly like this. So this is the title, this is the description. When I click the title, there is nothing, of course, because I don't have anything in that method show, which is what we will do next. Here I'll use the same method of query builder in Laravel ticket. I say db, go to the table tickets. Instead of just saying now here get, which was what we did earlier, now we have another requirement. I have to say that the ID of this ticket has to match this ID passed from the route, from the link or whatever. So I'll say where ID equals to $ID. So this is like a SQL query, is a structured query language if you're familiar. It's like that, except it's simpler in my opinion. And then in case there are other matching the same requirement, I'll say first and then get the ticket. Here I'm saying from tickets blah blah, this is when I was using array. I'm not using array anymore, so I get rid of that. I pass $ticket to ticket, and if I refresh it, okay, let me put this back, and if I click I get the same result saying object given, but I'm not treating it like an object. So that's very similar error to the one we just saw. So here, instead of just saying ticket, I can say title, show me the title, and it shows me the title. So this is accessing the database and using it. I think that's enough for now. We'll continue with models next.